Ready? We can announce that this is our Wednesday night channeling class, number 227, and the title is I Am. Let's start, though, with a quiet time. Let's relax our bodies and our minds and bring our full attention to this place and to this moment. Let us feel the presence of God's love filling this room and this circle of light getting brighter and brighter. And let us be aware that our teachers and guides are here with us, sending God's love into our minds and God's light to help us understand and receive as much as possible from the message. Let's send God's love to those in the balcony, those who have come from the other dimensions just as we have come to learn and to grow. And let's feel at one with each other and with ourselves and with all of life, and feel the presence of peace and joy and abundance and divine love. Thank you, Father.
Yeah, I can see them coming.
We don't have anyone brand new tonight, do we? One, yeah, but did you listen to your tape I gave you the other day? Yeah?
Did we lynch your arms today?
We start our class by writing, and that's channeling also. If this came yesterday or day before, I'm not sure. And if I have enough light to see, I'll read it to you. And it starts off by asking a lot of questions. What position do you hold in life in your mind? Where do you stand in the universe? Where do you stand? Excuse me, I'm reading it twice. Where do you stand in the universe? Strictly, in the physical sense, it might be said, let me read it over again. It might be said, strictly in a physical sense, it might be said you are a loser or a winner. Let us go beyond the physical to the ultimate of your being. In the class on prayer, we discussed we discourage you from supplication prayer, a feeling that you have to plead with God for certain favors. In this class, let us look at life above and beyond limitation or duality. Just who are you anyway? Now, I want you to think along these lines as we ask these questions. And if you get a tape and listen to it again, kind of let these things sink in. How do you depict yourself in your actions and feelings?
Yeah, I don't know.
Have you not been told ye are gods? How have you responded to that statement? What do your thoughts, words, and actions tell you? You may say, yes, but I was conditioned from birth to think and believe in a human way of limitation and duality. My dear ones, it is time to take account of yourself. You were also told, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Let us give thought that maybe part of that quotation was left off. Could it be, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he to himself? In other words, your erroneous programming and the fallacy of your language has led you to believe that you are much less than you truly are. What are your intentions? What do you desire to do with the life you are? You can continue to stay in the same old rut that may seem familiar and comfortable to you, or you can build that inner foundation so strong with the true reality of your being that you stand up and be counted among the gods that you are. For truly you are gods. Gods unrealized, yes. Is it not time for you to awaken and accept your rightful heritage? Most on your plane are so riddled with thoughts and feelings, words and attitudes, moods and attitudes of guilt, self-condemnation and unworthiness, they cannot see beyond these concepts of themselves. Just because you have psyched yourself up and excelled in a few physical achievements does not keep you from the destiny you have created for yourself. For much of these negative thought patterns are below the surface of your conscious awareness. In other words, subconscious, or some call it unconscious. Until you allow yourself to be enlightened as to your true reality, you continue to go round and round in circles with the same old in circles with the pain and pleasure duality beliefs, getting yourself deeper and deeper in the rut of illusion. When some of you get real rich, I want you to buy me a lamp to put right here so I can see. I can do a little better job. Good evening, my dear ones. This is Ella. I come to you in God's love and with great joy in being in your presence and in this circle of light. We have tonight a very special guest from a very high spiritual plane that has come to watch our circle a few times and wants to talk to you through me and then through the channel Donald. So you might call this a patchwork connection. And if I stumble, as Donald did in his readings, maybe you will understand. This being has not spoken in language for a very, very long time, and this is why it is coming through in this way.
in page is without like what was in the turkey. They say that they didn't and they can edit the symptom because they thought they could edit the sudden ticket.
Yes, I did help this one do with the writing today and yesterday, and brought through a few words to ask you what you really think of yourselves. This may seem rude to you, but I tell you, my dear ones, if you could see the larger picture, it would mean so much more to you. This is why I have asked to come to maybe help you to see a much larger picture than you have been used to looking at. From the dimensions that I live, it is very far from your earth plane, as you call it. It is a place of beauty and pure love and pure spirit. We love you very much and want to help in every way possible. Sometimes your teachers coddle you a little too much, and I have decided to speak more plainly to you to help you to maybe get off the dime, as a saying, and do something about your lives that will be helpful to you when you finish this incarnation. Do not misunderstand, my beloveds. We know that you are moving forward. Most in this room are striving to have a higher consciousness, to understand much more of life. And this we commend you for. But I tell you, let's look a little higher. Let us look at the statement that your master teacher has said to you, know ye not that ye are gods? And I would have you to consider this at this moment. How does that fit in with your thinking? How does it wear as you would wear a garment? Is it too large for you? Does it not fit your concepts of who you are? Yes, these are strong words, and they may make you a little uncomfortable to try to fit them into your consciousness. But I tell you, time is growing short for your planet. And that is not to say something is going wrong with your planet. It is to say that the vibrations on your planet are speeding up much more than any of you realize. And things are happening very rapidly that you do not see and know about. The vibrations, as you call them, are increasing much more rapidly than you have thought of. And in a few years, you will need to think about these things that we speak of tonight. You will need to make a decision. Which way do I want to go? Do I want to lose out on this golden age and have to go to some other planet that is comparable to what this planet has been in the past? Or do you want to stay with this planet and rise up and be Christed with this planet as it will be Christed? You do have the choice, my dear ones, but I tell you, it is a choice day by day, hour by hour, and minute by minute. And it's the choice, of course, as you realize, is in your thoughts. And as you have been told, feelings, moods, attitudes, desires, all of these come under the heading of thought. And in your other classes, you have been told this many times that life works through the mind as a channel with a prism of thought. Have you really considered this and what it means? You are creating your life constantly as it is, and you have created it as it is this moment. And what you do this day makes the next period of time what it is. You have heard these words. Have you taken them seriously enough? Do you give yourself enough time with that inner God self of you? Do you allow yourself to be in touch with the true entity that you are? Or do you go about just playing your role and being haphazard about what you do? These are stern questions to ask you, but you cannot say that you have not been told. This circle of light and many others like it is a wonderful, wonderful thing for your planet, for it gives you a chance to hear the truth as well as you can in your language from the higher points of reality. But the real work for your upliftment in spirit happens within you day by day, and what you do with your thoughts, with your words, with your deeds. How are you with you? How do you feel about yourself? Some feel pretty good. Some feel a little all right. And some just don't like themselves on your plane. I'm not talking about just the circle, my dear ones. I'm talking about the masses on your plane. It is important to realize this and to understand that your thoughts about yourself is where you begin. How do you feel in your consciousness? What do you think of the life you've been given? Or should I say, the life you have given yourself in this incarnation, for truly you have created it as it is. Once you come to terms with this and understand that everything that happens in your life is your creations, then you can begin to mold and shape your life the way you truly want it. You have heard this before, but have you heard it? Have you listened? Do you want to listen? These are questions that are hard put to you, and questions that the masses on your plane would not even hear or want to hear or consider. But you, my dear ones, we hold dear in our hearts. We, not any more dear than we do everyone, but you are making the effort. You are attempting to move out of the old ruts and to move closer and closer to the God self of your being. And we want the most that we can give you. We want to give you everything possible. But you see, as Donald has said, all we can give you is guidelines. Guidelines of how you can make your life what you want it to be. When you can hear this and give enough value to it, to give some of your time, as you think of it, in your day, every day, then can you move forward. Then do you move forward. And you take your place among those who are moving with the current of life as it is moving upward in these higher vibrations. I feel that most of you do understand what we say when we say the current of life as it is moving from your lower dimensions upward, because life does not stand still. And you, my dear ones, if you try to stand still, you do not. You either go forward or backward. These are things that you must hear, that you must understand in order to achieve the things that, the desires in your heart, the spiritual quest that you are on. Many of you in this circle have come over and over to these classes and to other classes. And this says to me that you are serious. This is why I have come to you tonight, to maybe prod you along a little more into understanding how important it is to keep up with that current that is moving upward. That life current on your planet is moving rapidly and will continue to accelerate. This I do not mean to frighten you or to scare you away from doing anything, but I do give you the truth as I see it from this very high level from yours. I have watched many planets, planes, dimensions, and the entities on them, and some get stuck for a long time. Some of you have been stuck with this planet for a long time. Now you have said, by coming to these classes, by making the effort, reading the books, and doing your grow work, as you call it, you are saying, I want to change. I want to make my life much more than it is. I want to know the truth and move out of this plane of confusion and illusion and hear the truth clearly from within myself. This we want you to do. As you do, my dear ones, you then can be an example for many others around you. As I look at your planet, I see many on your plane that are just about ready to open up, to reach for the reality, something more. There are many because the vibrations are increasing, and this is stirring the inner soul of those who are almost ready to break away from the old ruts. And if you take the action to be that dynamic spiritual entity that you are, then you can be an example for those who are getting ready, who are opening up. Some of you have been reading a few books and doing a little for a while. Others of you have worked with this for years. Now it is time to make an upward movement in your consciousness. This throat is dry, and if you will excuse. let us start with the class on prayer, where we discouraged you from using supplication prayers. In other words, pleading with God and asking God for things that you want, are better conditions in your life, or better relationships, many other things. I would like to give you the suggestion tonight that you do not ask God, but that you state, I am, from the God being that you are. Begin today by saying, I am, and then what you would ask God for. Put that in your prayers instead of thinking of someone off in a higher dimension that is ruling the universe that might answer your prayers or might not. This is a misconception, my dear ones. Work from the divine being that you are. Sooner or later, this is what you will come to understand and to know if you raise your consciousness to a level where you can see it and realize that God does hear your prayers, all of them, but He has given you freedom. He has given you free will, and He cannot undo the mess that you've gotten yourself into, because He gave you the freedom to do this. And I'm speaking bluntly to you to make a point, to help you to understand that you and you alone are responsible. And from your physical self, and maybe a little spiritual understanding, is not enough for you to get out of the old ruts. You must stand up and be counted among the gods that you are. You must stand on your understanding of your godhood. This is speaking very plainly to you, and it maybe is taking a crutch away from you where you sit down and pray to God for help. Those prayers, my dear ones, are heard. Those prayers are answered from within you according to your ability to manifest in your consciousness the understanding that you are the one who answers your prayers. You are the God being that you are. When you left the Father's house, the Garden of Eden, or the Godhead, whatever words you want to use, you took on the responsibility of doing for yourself, making your own decisions. But some of you have tried to go back to the womb, you might say, and want to nurse in the old way, but not realizing that you have accepted the responsibility, and you must get yourself out of the mess that you have made of your life. Now, when I say this in plain words, it sounds very peculiar to me, but it is the best that I can do to communicate with you in your language, so that I am sure that I am communicating with you. Even though you have heard this many times in different ways, most of you still are not acting upon your understanding, if you understand it. you are acting as if some power somewhere else is going to reach down and take care of you and pull you out of your mess. I tell you, my dear ones, you are incorrect in thinking this. You made your sandbox, you might say, and you will have to deal with it. You have created your consciousness. That is where you live. And you will have to uncreate those things that seem unpleasant to you and recreate yourself as you truly want to be and your life as you want it to be. This does not go down well when we bring it home to you so clearly and unadulterated, helping you to know that God is the life force that you are. You are God. You are the creator of your being as it is. Yes, there is a creator of the whole universe that brought you into being. But when you left his home, when you were with him in his house or in his consciousness, you thought every thought with him. When you left his house, his consciousness, you started thinking on your own and said, I want to do it my way. And you have been doing it your way. And some of the doing is not so pleasant, is it? And as you drop down into these lower dimensions, the understanding of the real truth has become clouded because these lower dimensions are not very bright. And unless you create that inner light and that inner power within yourself to see the real truth, you see maybe part of it, or you see it adulterated and mixed up with a bunch of other concepts, and it is not clear to you. The main thing that I want to communicate with you this evening is to stand up on your own two God-being feet and be the God that you are. Now, I see in your minds that your thoughts are, from where I am right now, how am I going to do this? You have to start from where you are. You have to start from where you are and accept where you are without crying about it. It does no good to scream and cry and carry on and pull your hair because your life is not pleasant and your body is not in very good shape. It does not help anything, but it makes everything worse. But you can start right now by saying, I. When you pray, do not say, Father in heaven, as you've been taught to say, help me with this problem or that problem, or give me this or that. That is another classroom. And tonight we are asking you to take a giant step and start working from your God self. I am. Some of the most powerful words in your book you call the Bible is that Moses talked to God and the people wanted to know what he said. And his statement was, I am that I am. That was a message to everyone. And in truth, he spoke to the God within the people, because the God within the individual you and the God, the creator of all, is the same. There is no separation. So instead of thinking of some giant being up there that is giving you life, yes, he's giving you life force. He is sustaining and maintaining your being because you are his child. But start growing up. Maybe you're still in childhood, maybe you're in adolescence. Maybe it is time that you accept the responsibility for your life and your being and start saying, I am whatever you want your life to be, and graduate from the other kind of prayer. You know, your whole life is a prayer, in a sense. What you do with your life is a prayer. And it is constantly stating and manifesting and molding and shaping things for you. But most do not know this, do not understand it, and they do not understand why things happen the way they do, or why they are in such a mess. But you see, your every thought, word, and deed is recorded in the ethers, in the Akashic records, you might say, and within yourself, and it is manifested in your life. This, my dear ones, is my, shall we say, prayer to you. I speak to you from my God Self to your God Self, and I say awaken and take charge of this life. Awaken and come forth and know the truth of your being and start living the truth of your being. You've heard many other things. You've gone through many other classes. That's in the past. This is a different one. This is a higher one. It is time to stand up and be counted among the gods that you are. I understand that you do have a question period, and if you desire, we will take time for that at this time. Alva is a great help to me in bringing these impressions and thoughts into words, and I'm grateful to him for this. If you have questions or comments, will you bring them forth?
Yes, in some of the material I've been reading over the last year or so, the writer said that our every thought is a form of prayer. If we think in a negative manner, then we're essentially sending forth a negative prayer.
Yes, that's what prayer is your every thought, word, and deed, as I stated. And you are constantly praying. In other words, you're constantly manifesting your life as it is by bringing forth those thoughts and those words and the deeds. And as I said, feelings, moods, attitudes, emotions, desires, all of this comes under the heading of thought. And you don't even need to bring it into words to pray. So, whether you intentionally sit down and decide to pray, you are praying every moment. And this is molding and shaping your life as it has been, as it is, and you're projecting it into your future as you think of time. Does this answer your question, my dear one?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yes. Are there other thoughts?
Outside of the I am, what is the next single most important thing we can do for ourselves to increase our own spiritual development and raise our vibrations at the rate of the increase in vibrations for the planet?
Let us not go outside of the I am, but let us expand on that. And Eloah has been using Donald as an example, and he gets some of these things before you do. And in his love stemming, for example, in the past he has said, Father, I send your love to this place or that place. He now has eliminated those words and said, I send God's love to this situation or that situation. And even in cleansing, he says, I send God's love to cleanse me of all past negation. He is speaking from the I, the God. When you speak from the I, in the printed material, he has made plans to redo it and make it in that form so that you are speaking from your God self. Many on your plane would be more satisfied with the way that it is, for it is more comfortable to them. But to those who want to advance, it would help them to see it in a higher form. What other things can you do? You always think first before you do anything, before you say a word. So it is through your thoughts that you begin. It is through your thoughts of yourself. The other things is to think of yourself as a God being. To eliminate that feeling of human and stand forth in your God self, to yourself. This is where you begin doing this. You have to convince yourself of this, and this includes your subconscious mind. If this lesson tonight does not make sense to you, then you will not want to do any of this. But you begin with your language, the way you think about yourself, the way you feel about yourself, and the way you speak, and the way you go about doing the things that you're doing. In the past, you've been told to do it as if you're doing it unto God. This is correct. You are a God, and in your relationships with others, you're doing it. Whatever you say or help or anything that you do for them, you're doing it to another God. You're talking to another God. And in truth, it is all the same life. When you come to this understanding then can you be at peace within yourself, knowing that life on your physical plane is unreal, it is a sham, and you do not have to play the games that others play. Yes, you have to go through your workaday world, and you have to get along with the boss, and so on. But I am talking about to yourself. How do you feel with yourself? And I tell you, you do not have to go outside of your godhood, even in your workaday world, even in dealing with the masses on your plane. If you are brave enough to accept this challenge that you're given tonight, to start working from and through your God self, then you begin with your thoughts, and first you begin with your thoughts and feelings and ideas and images of yourself. See yourself as a God. Accept this truth that you are a God. You have been told this in many ways. You've been told that you're made in the image and likeness of God. You've accepted that you're children of God. What else can it be? That you are God's. Does this help your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Then it would be appropriate to say, I send my love to a certain situation.
I send divine love, or God's love. It would be, it would confuse your subconscious to say my, because you would be speaking from the physical self. Until you reach that complete knowing of your Godhood, then you continue to say, I send divine love, God's love, unconditional love, any other framework, but not in a personal way, because the personal is the personality. And until you are able to work completely from your God self, then you use God's love, divine love. Does that help your understanding?
Yes. How do we know when we have the subconscious under control and convinced that we are God?
Well, by asking the question, you know that you don't know. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Yes. And you start with working with the subconscious, and as so many here have in these classes, they start from where you are, and I am speaking to those who have advanced in their understanding and have taken some of the classes here at the center or other places to the point that they can accept these statements and accept the truth that they are God's. If you cannot accept this, then do not pay any attention to this class. You're not ready for it. This class may be premature for some of you, but there are some of you who need this class, who need this understanding, and there are some of you that might put it on the shelf for a while. Not close your mind to it, but put it on the shelf until you can come to the place where you can accept it. Everyone is in a different place in their consciousness. Everyone has a different way of seeing life. But you start by seeing yourself. And if you can accept these statements that have been made tonight, see yourself as God's. Any other thoughts or questions?
I have a question on sending divine love. Now, as we are God in ourselves, in our own beings, when I have always in the past thought of sending God's love, I always think everything comes from up and inward and then outward, and that I am a channel for God's love. Now, if I am God, am I generating the divine love within my own being, and then channeling it also through? Am I the source?
My dear one, there is no such thing as duality, time and space, this sort of thing. You're generating it from your declaration that you are sending God's love. God is everywhere present. There is no place that God is not. There is no place that life is not. God and life are synonymous in your language. So there is no here nor there. And this is confusing to you because you've been programmed about duality, time and space, and good and evil, and so forth. Do not be concerned about this, but just send God's love and know that it is coming through you, your physical self, from your God self.
I understand.
Yes.
Thank you.
And so when expressing gratitude, if we say, I'm grateful, and then we say, I am grateful to God, teachers, my guides, we don't say, I'm grateful to myself, because that would confuse it with the small ego.
Yes, it is difficult for you to get out of this framework of having this overseer that's looking over you and helping you in all these ways. And you see, I'm taking you and weaning you, in a sense, from this. So you will have to get used to saying things in a different way. You can say, thank you, life. Thank you, God. And when you say thank you, God, think of the God being that you are. And when you come to the point that you know that you're God, you will not need to say thank you, because you will know that everything is, period. But as long as you need the feeling of gratitude that you have been told is a very powerful force, and it is, then use it. But think of it coming from your God self. And in truth, your God self is one with everyone else's God self and the overall creator of all life. It is the same thing. The difference is that you're standing up and being counted as gods. And changing your language to help you to get this understanding, both in your conscious and subconscious self, will be very helpful.
Standing up and being counted as gods, and accepting the responsibility to throw away the crutch.
Accepting the responsibility for your life in every way, for everything that's in your life, for everything that happens to and around you. You cannot change others, but you can change yourself. And those who have read the life and teachings of the Master of the Far East may have some idea about this. Also, the little book, Sons of God, may give you a little idea more about this. As you accept your godhood, you do begin to change. And depending on how much you accept your godhood and the God being that you are, is the feeling that the tape is about run out?
Keep going, I'll watch.
Yes, all right. Are there other questions or thoughts?
It's pretty powerful.
Yes, it is, but it is time for this, for those who can accept it. Those who cannot accept it or do not know how to deal with it, we love you just as much, and we are here for you. You see, as you've been told many times, nobody can do anything for you except give you guidelines and send you divine love. You have to awaken from within out. These words mean nothing at all unless you hear them with the inner ear. And that means unless the God self within you is stirred into motion to understand and impart this truth to your conscious awareness. It was debated among your council, and remember that you do have a council of 20 who have meetings like a board meeting on your plane and talk about each one of you as to whether this should come forth at this time. And some did not think so, because the ones who are just beginning. But my dear ones, there's only now. And those who are just beginning and cannot comprehend this or do not want to, go ahead with the work that you are doing. Do not throw everything away. Work from where you can understand. It will pay dividends, whether you accept tonight's class or not. For those who can't accept at least a little of tonight's class, it gives you a beginning place on another dimension from where you have been. And this is the beginning of rocking you out of the old ruts that you do not realize that you're in. Or maybe you realize it but have not done enough about it. I am given to understand my words seem stern to you, and I do not mean this to be. It is the way that I speak, and I say every word lovingly to you. But I intend to communicate with those who have ears to hear. Are there other questions or thoughts?
I do have a comment.
Yes.
I especially appreciate your candor and the very plain-spoken manner that you've used. It's well-timed, at least in my case, and I would say that the entire lesson does still serve to grant us freedoms, or at least help us become aware of the freedoms in knowing and living the truth. Freedoms from duality.
Yes, if you can accept this understanding of your Godhood, it gives you freedom from the lower realms and the illusion and so much tension and stress that you go through on these lower planes. So much fear. It eliminates the fear altogether. For you understand and realize your true being. Now, I do not expect you to accept this overnight. This is a starting place. That if you can accept this a little and work with these words, this understanding that I have tried to impart to you, then maybe you can move into it a little at a time, and until you can get the insight within you to working from the God self of you. When this happens, you need not have my guidance or anyone else's, for God is all, has all knowledge and wisdom and ability, and you are God's. As you accept this, then your God self comes forward into your consciousness and your understanding. It is when you cannot accept it or you are confused about it that it will take a while. Maybe put it on the shelf and wait a while for it. Each will know what they should do with the material that you've been given this evening. Are there other thoughts or questions?
I have a question. First of all, I appreciate you coming. It's going to be a tremendous opportunity to put into practice. My question is that have developed a rapport with my guides and teachers and asking them for remembrance of talents and knowledge and wisdom of past lives. With what you're saying tonight, does this negate the...
Does this conflict with what you...
Yeah.
No, it is not conflict with this at all. Continue to work with your guides and teachers. This is, let us say that you're going to run a race. You have a starting point and you have a finishing point. So you're making your first step on the starting point with this class tonight. Continue to work as you are working. Try to, though, if you wish, to rearrange your language, and even in the class material that you might have, the language in it may not be as I have asked you to consider tonight. Try to rearrange your thoughts of yourself, but continue with where you are, for you have to work from where you are. Does this understand?
Yes, thank you.
It
It has been my pleasure to speak with you. It is not my intention to confuse you or upset you. It is my intention to give you a lifeline to another dimension if you so choose. Do not expect to reach the fullness of this other dimension overnight, but think about what has been said to you this evening, if you wish. And if you can accept part of it, some of it, let it sink in until you can feel comfortable with it. Otherwise, put it on the shelf or do the best you can with it. Hold no concern about it. Concern works against you. Be the best that you can at this moment, but give thought to standing up and be counted among the gods that you are. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
The God within you blesses each one of you every moment. Good evening.
The protection paradigm language, and then you say in case they come and really is the main the back and the thing with them. Maybe far away, but you're paying less on it, maybe. We have been in a template and the on the last unit of just take a single toxin conclusion.
I expected something different tonight, but I didn't expect that much.
It was very deep.
Yes.
Also very well timed.
Yes.
Quite appropriate.
For you.
Yes.
I think for a lot of us. Pretty big pill book.
Yes.
Let's just take a little extra water.
That's right.
Yeah.
I find that the God force within me is a little shy and bashful.
Little shy.
And bashful.
Well, that's your little self. It's not the God force today.
Well, I'm finding mine's quite brash.
So am I.
But it can be confusing to confuse it with the ego, and
Well, if you want to live with your ego, your little self, that's your choice. You're free to do that.
he's been pulling tricks on me my whole life.
You want to move upward, but that's your choice too.
You've been pulling tricks on who?
Myself, my whole life. Of course, everyone does.
Right.
It's when you suddenly realize that that's what you're doing and you put a stop to it, it becomes quite a joke to.
I was in on part of this council. I received impressions from it. And it came down, what I understood, that it would never be the right time in this circle for everyone. And so it was given for those who can hear, want to hear. Otherwise, it was all given in love, and no black marks is going to be marked against you if you don't accept it. That was what I heard.
But it's kind of like something we were told in one of our earlier classes. All of us are in a position to reach up for help, and we're also in a position to reach down and help someone else.
Yes. By example.
Yeah.
By example. And you can give them guidelines in words if they don't misconstrue it, misunderstand it.
I like the part about getting off the dime. For those of us who sometimes get stuck on that dime, I thought that was very meaningful for me.
Yeah, you always have 10 cents holding up a dollar. In any kind of business. Sunday evening, I have an exercise that I do, but I done it to a group of people. I took them down the stairwell within themselves and to the secret chamber where the I Am exists, and made him take the I Am by the hand and lead it out up the stairwell to the light. And that's quite a good impact.
Speak a little louder. And what?
I said it got quite a good impact on people. Because I think they didn't realize that the I Am is down here and you have to bring it up.
You have to allow it to come forth because you have free will. It's always there talking to you and guiding you, but most don't hear it because their attention is fastened on the physical world.
They're running their own program.
That's all.
Doing too much thinking and reasoning for themselves.
Well, you're doing your thing and the way that you can do it. But let's leave tonight with a feeling of knowing that a very high being has taken the time to come and speak to us, and be grateful to the God within us that we may be able to hear part of it. Shall we stand and hold hands?
Oh, please.
As we come together in this circle of light, let us feel the power of this great being that has come to speak to us, coming down on that very high plane through Elva and our teachers and guides into the God within us. See in your mind that divine light coming through those different links to the God within us and sparking it to life. In other words, maybe sparking our conscious awareness to life of the God that we are, and bringing it forth and letting it manifest much more in our lives. Thank you, God, that I am.
Nice to see you again.
You're quite a nerd.
Oh, thank you.
Haven't seen you for a while either.
Well, let's see if we can act like Hi. Good, so you got the haptic honey in.
Jerry,
Yeah.